Let me tell you, there are so many people out there that, they have a business, and maybe you, of course, go to the business or the organization and, you step in. Maybe you take advantage of their service, but there's always some very fascinating story behind that as well, too. And I have a very, very special guest on today with us, Jemma Cabral. She's the founder of Easy Clean Group. She's a Latina entrepreneur and two-time cancer survivor. She built her company from the ground up while simultaneously battling serious health challenges. And rather than giving up, she leaned into her strength, turning her pain into purpose. And I'm so excited I have her here today with us in studio. Please welcome Jemma to the stage here. Hello, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for taking the time and energy to come into the station today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So Jemma, tell us a little bit about yourself and how Easy Clean Group came to be.
Yeah, I'm Jemma Cabral, and I'm the owner of Easy Clean Group. We have been a commercial cleaning service provider since 2021. I actually have a background in accounting and business management for the last almost 20 years. And I just found myself, unfortunately, laid off from a job and was looking to do something different because I didn't want to be behind a desk anymore. And I ended up working for a commercial cleaning company as an operations manager for about 4 or 5 years. And then I started my own company. So in 2021.
Very cool. Now, you serve North and Northwest Chicago suburbs as well, too. So it's in Elgin and the surrounding towns, again, since 2020. And folks, if you want to check out more information, feel free to do so. EasyCleanGroup.com. I'll also make sure once this interview is over, when we do post it onto our YouTube side of things, you will be able to click a link in the description to go directly to the Easy Clean Group Incorporated website there, too. So there you go. Now, you've spent nearly 2 decades in accounting. Now, what inspired you to leap from the financial side of things to the commercial cleaning side?
Well, that was unintentional, actually. So as I mentioned before, I was laid off from my accounting job. And so I just took my package, the unemployment, and kind of thought about what I wanted to do for the few months I had. And then so I started applying for management positions. Okay. And I found myself interviewing for a office manager's job here in Elgin at a different commercial cleaning company. And it was 2 brothers. And one brother looked at me and my resume was like, "You're overqualified." And I was like, "Okay." The other brother was like, "Let me talk to him and see if we can find something for you." So because he saw value in my background. And so they came back to me a couple days later and it said, "If we can teach you our business in 3 months, can you take it over and run the operations?" And I was like, as a woman, I was just like, "Sure, I can do anything."
There you go.
And then so for those 3 months, I spent the day with one brother learning all the daytime operations. So I already knew the accounting, but understanding doing sales, which I didn't know anything about, understanding the commercial cleaning industry from that end. And then at night, the other brother had worked. And so when he got off of work, he would run the evening operations. So it was almost like being a child going with 2 different parents. So we would exchange me in a parking lot, literally from one car to the next. And then in the evening, I would spend with the other brother learning about the cleaners and what to look for when you inspect a building and, getting supplies and all the operational things in the evening. So I did that for them for about almost 3 years. And then I actually was offered another job at a different cleaning company, which was a much larger company. They were a building facilities and management company, sorry. So it's not only just the inside of the building I understand now, I understand how to take care of the outside of the building and parking lots and stuff like that. So that's how I got into it, and I haven't left it since.
Wow. So I'm sure you've learned a whole lot along the way, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I never would have thought I'd understand stripping and waxing of floors, how to clean a dealership, and like I said, also understanding power washing the facade of a building, filling in potholes, changing light bulbs, renting different equipment and machinery. So yeah, I've learned a lot in the time frame that I've been in the industry.
That's awesome. Now, what's really, really cool, too, is you're actually about to appear on season 17 of the Blox. Tell us a little bit about that and how that opportunity came about.
Yeah, so the TV show The Blox is, they kind of say it's like the combination of Shark Tank meets The Apprentice. So you take right now it's at 100 different entrepreneurs. They're flown out and you're in a business boot camp for about 5 days. And within that business boot camp, you're split up into about 10 different groups with 10 different mentors and judges. So you get to have a consult, but at the same time, you're also learning different topics in regards to running a business. And then you also compete within the group, in the different groups you're broken out to. They're called pods. And so we learn a topic, it might be SEO and Google. It might be your hiring funnel, your sales funnel. And then it's pretty much understanding the information that you're given and then being able to regurgitate it in a pitch within your group. And then each judge and or mentor is supposed to take their 10 people and pick one to represent on stage that night for what we call the Blox off. And then you just hope you get to be the person going forward and be the big winner at the end.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so it was cool. So I'm excited about it.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And that's great, too, because, I mean, you know, you're surrounded by 70 plus other entrepreneurs and you're all competing and collaborating at once. So, I mean, I'm sure that it was quite the experience.
It was really cool because for entrepreneurs, it's really interesting. So I kind of compare it to cancer, which is something we'll talk about in a minute, but not that the two are the same. But when you are a patient, because I'm a 2-time survivor of Hodgkin's lymphoma, when you're going through cancer, even though you have the support, it feels like a very isolating experience because you're the only one that's going through it, right? And kind of the same in entrepreneurship. So like you can have all your friends and family who understand business and maybe job related stuff, but to understand like the risk you take as an entrepreneur and how like some days it feels like, wow, I can see all the money revenue generating, but then you look at your own books and you're like, but I still make nothing, you know? So like not everyone can relate to that, but when you're in a room full of entrepreneurs, it was really nice to share the struggles and not have, you know, someone tell you like, oh, that's crazy. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine, to versus them saying like, oh, I totally get that. That was me, you know, a couple days ago, or like, oh yeah, I've been struggling for the last few years. It's just, it's a totally cool experience to finally have other people in the room just like you.
Yeah, it's great to make those connections. You have things that you can relate to and that you can bond over, and I think that that's really good, especially, you know, for example, when you're competing and collaborating, but also just in general too in the work field and things like that too. So.
Oh yeah, totally.
Absolutely. Now, what was one challenge on the Blox that pushed you out of your comfort zone or even changed how you maybe even ran your business too?
For me, it was really just putting myself out there. So, because it's interesting, because like I said, it's like a business boot camp, right? And so we're all having turns to go speak and everything, but it was like, at first, the first couple days, I was just kind of like, yeah, I know these topics. Yeah, I understand it. Yeah, I can present it to the judge and whatever. But then the other part of me was like, this is a competition. So like, do something more with the presentation, if that makes sense. So I kind of had to remind myself, it's like doing sales. Like, yeah, I'm having a conversation with the business owner across from me, but it's like, what can I do or say differently that will like really make them remember me, you know?
Right.
So it's so that's what I use now when I go and do my sales. Is just not, you know, it's not just like, oh yeah, especially because I'm in the cleaning industry. So it's a very simple service. It's not like I can really wow it up that much, you know, but like just being a more active listener and understanding, like, I'm not just here to tell you like, oh yeah, your office is going to be clean. It's like the reliability, the communication that comes from working with us.
Yep.
So,
and especially the why as well too.
Right.
You know, having that story that goes along with it can really, it can catch people's attention and be like, oh wow, this is quite the story. This is quite the business. I want to be involved.
right, exactly. So yeah, so that's what I remembered. And, you know, if, when people go online and watch the episodes, you might see me on stage.
There you go. Awesome. Looking forward to it. Now, of course, reality TV and cleaning services don't usually go in hand. No. So what do you hope viewers can take away from your story there?
Honestly, I hope they take away that, like, don't diminish yourself because you think you don't fit into a box. So the way the Blox came up was, it was just, you know, doom scrolling one night on Instagram. And then like this thing came up and was like, we're looking for entrepreneurs. And I was like, you are? I was like, I'm an entrepreneur. It's 2 a.m. What else am I doing? You know, and then it was like, click here. So I just clicked on it. And there's an application process to obviously see if you fit for casting. So when I went to it and I went online, I was like, I'm not going to get picked. I'm a commercial cleaning company. This is a reality TV show. Like, you know, you don't see that. And then so I filled it out anyways. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get a call. And then I did, you know, and I went through the whole casting process and everything. And then just being having the experience too during the filming process, I was the only commercial cleaning company there. Everybody else had so many different businesses, from products to services to like software, online type things. And so even though I was a different person in the room, it didn't bother me. And then the same thing in just now these days, I just keep telling myself, like, I have a son who's 24, who's a mechanic, and he's applying for jobs, and he's just like, I don't think I qualify for that one. I was like, apply anyways, because you just never know. So it's the same thing. Like, so yeah, what? You're a simple cleaning service still. Put yourself out there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, it's so important also, you know, to be yourself as well too. And I think that, you know, the right people will see that. as well too. They'll see it and they'll embrace it. And I
Right.
think that that's important.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And that's one of the things too I hope they get out of it is that, especially like when I meet clients or anyone on the street, not just in the TV show, but it's more than just, I don't just own a commercial cleaning company. Like some people are like, oh yeah, you just need a cleaning kit. I was like, no, there's so much operationally and logistically speaking that it actually needs some level of intelligence, not rocket science, but it's not just like, you can just pick it up and do it tomorrow.
Exactly. Now, again, we'll go into a little bit more here. You're a 2-time cancer survivor. So how did that journey shape your approach to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I am a 2-time cancer survivor of Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 3. I was diagnosed at the age of 22 and 23, so I had it twice. So the first time, I was sick for a while, and then kept going to my doctor, and then we finally pinpointed it to being at Hodgkin's lymphoma, because unfortunately it has regular cold symptoms to it in the beginning until blood tests and other things help you figure that out. But anyways, I had cancer twice, so 6 months of chemo the first time, and then went back to work, and then 3 months later, unfortunately, I relapsed. So, and there's several lessons really quick that I got out of it, and one of it was, so in the second time I had cancer, I had an autologous stem cell transplant. What that means is that I was a donor and the recipient of my own stem cells. So
Okay.
when they say, I know it sounds cliche, everything you need's inside of you, it is. So I was lucky my cancer didn't hit my bone marrow, so that's why I was able to use my own stem cells.
Okay.
So I look at it like, what I tell people in like layman terms is, think of it as rebuilding an old car. So you like take all the old parts and you reinfuse it with or you rebuild it with the new parts. So in stem cell transplant, they give you high dose chemo to deplete you of your immune system, and then they reinfuse you with your stem cells and then possibly like other blood that you need, like red cells and stuff like blood transfusions. So that was 22 years ago, and I've been a cancer survivor since. So that the first lesson was everything you need, you have in you. And then the other lesson after that was there's nothing worse than having cancer. And that's what I tell myself on my lowest days as a business owner. Like if I lose a client, or it just seems to be like, you look at your bank account and you're like, where's the money? Because, like with the economy right now, some people are not paying on time, and like being able to accommodate that, but knowing at the end of the day, like there's still nothing harder than what I went through when I had cancer.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I can't imagine that. So we're so glad you're here.
thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, the thing is your story can really help a lot of other people as well too, who are maybe struggling with that. I mean, I'm sure you've had those interactions before.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. So what came out of it for me also was, it's crazy to think, but it's true, at least for me. Having cancer twice and being a survivor of it gave me purpose. So because like I was just like everyone else, I was just living life, and unfortunately one day I got the diagnosis, right? But then afterwards I was like, I need to do more with my life than just exist. So like I started volunteering for the American Cancer Society, Immerman Angels, several different cancer organizations, Immerman's in the Chicagoland area. But anyways, and so I met more people, and yeah, as you hear other people's stories, just trying to encourage them, like, I know you might feel crappy this day, but like hopefully tomorrow is better. And then just learning how to talk to patients and stuff, because like a lot of people don't know how to talk. We don't even know how to talk to ourselves, but a lot of people don't know how to talk to like someone who's going through something. So, it may not necessarily be like hey, Jemma, how are you? It's like, hey, Jemma, how are you today? Because when someone's going through something and you just hear the how are you, it's just like, well, yeah, I feel terrible. Everything's crappy, whatever. But it's like, how are you today? Changes it all. It's like, well, today I woke up, and today I was able to stomach having my breakfast or something like that. So yeah, it's just learning how to have the conversations, just being an active listener and trying to inspire without being pushy to others.
That's good. I'm taking note on that as well too. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, how do you stay grounded through challenging moments? So what's something that can help you?
As any challenging moment? So yeah, a lot of it is if you are fortunate enough to have a sounding board. So I'm very lucky. I have a big family. I have friends. I have definitely now friends in the entrepreneurial space, which is nice. So when I feel like my family and my core group of friends are like not getting what I'm saying, then I go to like my entrepreneur friends. And I feel it's the same way when you're someone going through cancer. If you're lucky enough to know other survivors or whatever, being able to just reach out to someone who's similar to you or has gone through similar process.
Yeah, we need that as humans. We need interactions, and we also need people that that can relate to us, that we can talk to and understand each other too. And I think that's very important, of course, to keep going. So.
I mean, I think it's not only that, it's important all across the the spectrum, right? Because for example, really quick, a story to share was I just recently did a walkthrough, and I did it for a local organization that helps people who are experiencing homelessness. And so it's a shelter. And so I've never been through a homeless shelter before. And so when I was walking through as like a possible vendor to provide cleaning for the space, I did see their clients. Their clients were still on site and everything. And just to see that they have a community within themselves. So, they're just chatting with one another. They're planning out their day, whatever job they're applying for. Like, it was just cool to see like, oh, okay, luckily they don't also feel alone, but there are obviously many others who are not fortunate enough to yet be in that space, to have that opportunity, who have that community.
Yeah.
So
Now, what role has the cancer advocacy world play in your healing and also your business life too?
well, for me, it brought me a lot of connection because, like I said, I was saying before, so when you're diagnosed with cancer, yes, of course, if you're fortunate enough to have family and friends like rally around you and be able to take you to treatments and just push you through your hard days, that's great. But then at the same time, it's like, you don't understand I'm losing my hair. You don't understand that I don't feel good and I'm pushing myself today. That type of thing is like a feeling that I got. And so it was nice when I had people who knew I had cancer, who had also had cancer, reach out to me like, hey, if you need someone to talk to, I'm here for you. And I had it 20 plus years ago, so I didn't have texting. We had email. We were still on dial-up. You know what I mean? So like today, now you have apps that you can download and use to like communicate with another person. Like I said, Immerman Angels is a one-on-one cancer support organization here in the Chicagoland area. They connect you to somebody that has gone through the same journey as you. So, it's just nice to be able to just talk to somebody and to have that connection. Because even though we're all highly technologically savvy, that one-on-one communication, whether it's through the telephone, on a Zoom call, or whatever, I feel like it's so much more important than the device you're holding.
Oh, definitely. And I think as society, we've grown so much technologically, but there's also, in many instances, this lack of communication now. So it's good to, like you said, to have that one-on-one because that can make a difference.
Oh yeah, I think it made the world a difference for me because I got lucky too with one of my cousins I'm very close to. She knew that I loved going out. I'm very social. So when I had to like listen to my body and slow down, whenever so I had a chemo every other week. So on my off weeks, she would call me and ask me, hey, do you want to go out? And my son, who's now 24, was 2 and 3 years old at the time. And it was just great because she was like, I'll pick you and Jacob up and we're just going to grab lunch. It was just nice to know that like I didn't have to worry about my son so much because someone else was there with me to help. And I got to be a normal human being for like an hour or two and then go back home.
Yeah, that's a good feeling for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit here, too. Now, you've grown fast in Cook, Lake, Kane, and DuPage counties. What's been key to building that momentum?
The key thing is that, so I've been super fortunate. So when my former employers found out that I decided to start my own thing, I was told I would fail. And
really?
Yeah, because my first employers were the two brothers. They were franchisees who bought into a franchise. And there's nothing wrong with franchises. But I just didn't have the money to invest to buy into a franchise. And I obviously wasn't the much larger company that can do all these different buildings on the outside. So I just thought to myself, I'm like, I'm social, I'm a networker. So I was like, I'm going to just use word of mouth. And I had to think about like, who do I know who has a space? Almost everyone has a space, right? So I just started reaching out and I was just telling people. And I knew other people who own larger cleaning companies that were independent. So I was just like, hey, so-and-so, I started my own company. If you have anything to subcontract out or if you need more help or if you get, at the time, I didn't have like a dollar amount that I would accept. So I was just like, hey, if there's a smaller contract you're not willing to work on, if you would pass those over to me, I would be happy to take them. And so that's how I started. It was really word of mouth and just people knowing me and my personality and like my work ethic and trusting me to be like, hey, yeah, I do have something for you. So my first year I only had 2 clients. So yeah, I only made, and this is all on the TV show too, I only made like about 6 to 8K the first year. Our second year we hit 70, and then in our third we were at 200 plus, and then last year we reported 310, and this year we're on our way to be a $500,000 business.
Wow.
So yeah,
fantastic.
so it literally is word of mouth and networking, and now utilizing social media and stuff.
Absolutely. There you go. We still have about roughly a minute or so left. So just quickly here, you often talk about cleaning being an extension of a company's identity. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah. So, like we're going to use a Lexus car dealership as an example or any high-end car, right? So when you walk in, you're completely having the experience of like, wow, it's pristine, it's clean. You're buying a high-end car. It's pristine, it's clean, it's shiny. So we're the part where your space comes into play, right? So we should be an extension of your brand. So if your brand is like high end or like just wants to be a space that's welcoming, our job is to make sure it's clean and welcoming. And that's how we become the extension of your brand. No matter what your space is, whether it's the homeless shelter I talk about, or it's the car dealership, or even this, coming into the radio studio, someone walks in and they just are like, wow, this is amazing. Matt's studio is clean and like, everything's neatly put over here. So yeah, I feel like it's an extension of the brand.
That's fantastic. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the air today. You have such an inspirational story,
Thank you.
what an awesome way to promote your business as well, too. Easy Clean Group. Check out more information, easycleangroup.com. How can people find more information about you as well?
You can find more about me personally, Jemma Cabral, on Facebook, or I am at I am Gem lower, whatever that straight line is, 6 on Instagram, and I'm also on LinkedIn.
Awesome. And then what we'll also do, folks, is we'll make sure to post this video on YouTube and also on our Facebook page. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right, thank you, Matt, for having me.